Welcome to the Pittsburgh Dish. I'm your host, Doug Heilman. Is it better to be a foodie instead of the restaurant owner? And when does fashion and food come together? This week is a special spotlight episode on two of our latest contributors. Plus, would you like to get your hands on Grandma's pierogi recipe? We sure would, and that's exactly what we're getting from Chef Jonathan Homer. All that ahead, stay tuned. We want to thank Chip and Kale Plant-Based Meals for being an ongoing supporter of the Pittsburgh Dish. And we're welcoming a new member, Chef Aleka Sweeney. You too can become a monthly supporter by visiting our website at www.pittsburghdish.com and just hit that support tab. You can sign up for as little as $3 a month and cancel anytime. And if you want to advertise your food-related business on the show, use our Get in Touch form on the website or just DM us on Instagram. All right, on to the show. First up is our friend Rebecca Hansborough of the 41 Chew. Let's do this. Let's do some get-to-know questions.
Sure.
Would you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Absolutely. I am Becca Hansborough, also known as the 41 Chew. That's if you're chewing food.
Yeah, that's how I love that handle.
On Instagram.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted, it was an original thought. Like I did come up with it on my own, but there was an account that was similar. So I think I ended up putting like underscores or something in my name to try to like separate me from the other guy that had it. And I don't even know if they still use theirs.
I don't think they do. So if folks out there are interested in following you, it's at the _41_ Chew.
Yes.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Absolutely.
And when did you start that account?
Oh my God. So I started, I think, right before the pandemic. I think it was like 2018 or 2017.
Okay.
And the first place I was at Bar Marco.
Oh.
And I was celebrating a friend's, I can't remember, we were out for a friend's dinner. And I still will scroll back and see like the very first photo, and it's very crappy. Like it was the lighting. I don't know if you've ever been there, but the lighting in there is very like
stark, dim,
and aesthetically. Yes. And so I'm pretty sure I used Flash, which is like now that I'm like been doing this for a little while, that's kind of like a no-go for good photos unless you really have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, my friend was like, we eat out a lot and like you're always going out to eat. Like, why don't you just like start documenting it? And I was like, who's going to care about my photos of food that I eat?
Everybody.
So I've garnered a very small following, but most importantly for me, I've made some really great, relationships. And before we started recording, I was throwing out names and you were like, oh, I know that person. And so, I've just developed some really great foodie relationships, and they've kind of developed into actual friendships as well. And so I think that's kind of why I continue to do it. Yeah, for sure.
I've found the same thing.
Yeah.
What about food in your life? I mean, has food always been sort of like a thing or an important thing?
Yeah. So I work in public relations and marketing, but when I was looking for school opportunities, I actually applied to Drexel University for a chef program.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to cook. I wanted to open up a restaurant. And I got waitlisted. And so then I ended up going to another school and taking a different path, which honestly, now that I think about it, I think I would have hated being a restaurant owner. I really, especially just kind of, being in this scene of going to the restaurants and interacting with, with some of the owners and, the wait staff and just everyone. It's so stressful. And I don't think people realize how stressful it is. I really do think they are kind of like the deserved like servants of the world, because they are providing a service. They're making sure that we eat and that we have food in our bellies, but there's so much more than that. Like there's so much more.
Yeah.
Just the marketing alone, which is I have experience in. I can't imagine doing it. So this was like a good opportunity for me to still have that love of food,
right,
and kind of compartmentalize that with what I do,
right,
day to day. So
And you can promote other places that you really love.
Absolutely.
That you know are...
And I did go through like a home cook phase, mostly during the pandemic, because I wasn't eating out as much. So I did start kind of posting meals that I cooked at home, but not so much anymore now that restaurants are back open.
Right. I feel like we're back.
Yeah.
2025, we're definitely...
I feel like we're definitely back.
Fully back, yeah.
Fully back. It has hurt my heart a bit to see an increase in restaurant closures.
Right.
And I do think that's something that, I think me and a couple of other people who do this, as a hobby are interested in hearing from owners of like, what can we do to support? Because I just feel like recently, every time I open Instagram, there's another restaurant announcing a closure, and it's just really heartbreaking. As someone, and some of these are like favorites, of like, oh my God, I love that place, or I never got a chance to try that place, So that's definitely kind of maybe one of the downsides of it. But, hopefully the things that we do can help restaurants not close.
Yeah,
and
endure.
Can kind of shine a light on some of these smaller mom and pops, or, some of these larger places that need people in the door.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, we're recording right now in the end of January, and a couple of my favorite places, we had some very cold weather in Pittsburgh, and they had pipes freeze. And they were closed for a whole weekend. So I cannot wait to go back and visit Third Space Bakery, which is open again, but they had some frozen pipes. I'm like, oh no, like it's a small business. It's killing you, right? And Soju and I think Lola's, they all had some water problems recently. So you got to go support those places.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to ask one more sort of get to know question.
Sure.
So it sounds like food is in your life right now, always a quite a big thing. What about growing up? Did you cook as a youngster?
Yeah,
or who cooked for you?
Both my parents cooked, but my dad actually worked at a grocery store. I'm from Maryland, so he worked at a chain called Giant. Not Giant Eagle, just Giant.
We had those in State College.
Really? I did not know that.
State.
I thought like no one had ever heard of those before. And so, he cooked. And then I came from just like a very kind of like, I guess, stereotypical big Black cloud family where, Thanksgiving and Christmas were just like essentially food competitions. Like, my aunt, would make rice pudding and collard greens. And I learned how to make, collard greens from my mom. And then my brother kind of perfected my mom's recipe. So, it was just all about sharing those moments with one another. And it was in the kitchen. Not a huge fan of doing dishes because of my upbringing. Yeah. But me and my fiance love cooking. Like it's a big part of our relationship. It's something that we bonded on, of just like having an opportunity to make one of a kind dishes and just, taste things that we never thought we would want to make. It does make going out to eat sometimes a little difficult. We kind of have this rule where we tend to not order anything that we feel like we can
do at
pretty
home,
much master at home. So I typically don't order a lot of salmon at restaurants because I feel like I make a pretty decent salmon. Yeah. Same thing with like, we're getting pretty good at like making steaks. And it depends on where it is. Like if I'm at Fig and Ash, I'm never going to say no to a steak because their steak is very good. Yeah. But we don't typically go to steakhouses a lot. I can't remember the last steakhouse I went to, just because it's kind of something that we feel like we could make pretty well.
Right. You perfected it.
Yeah. But when it comes to specific cuisines, like Indian, like I can't make it. We typically go to Prince of India. We love Prince of India.
Wait, where's Prince of India?
It's in Oakland.
Okay.
And by go there, I mean delivery. I don't think I've ever actually stepped foot into that restaurant. I don't want to use the term hole in the wall, but it is, it's just kind of like a very low key Indian spot. Not a lot of bells and whistles, but the food is very good. They have, I don't want to shout out Grubhub, so feel free to.
It's fine.
Okay, take this part out if they're not giving you sponsor money.
They're not. We could use sponsors. We don't have them.
But they have like this like 2 chicken dish special where you get like 2 chicken dishes, a big thing of rice, and like naan for like maybe $45. So that's kind of like our go-to for like a day like this. It's
a rainy day.
It's a rainy day today. A day like this, that's like probably like our go-to. We'll do something like that. So.
And you said that maybe you were cooking tonight. What did you want to make tonight?
Oh God, you're putting me on blast. Huh? So I bought like soba noodles like a really long time ago.
Have you ever made them before?
Never made them before.
Okay.
And they're supposed to be fairly easy. I think you just kind of like boil them.
Yeah.
And then you can either prepare them cold or hot. And I'm going to try to do them some type of soup. Okay. And I have like this leftover piece of steak that I was going to maybe slice thinly and try to see if it turns out okay. Maybe put a boiled egg or something in there.
You know what you're doing.
I have no idea what it's I have no idea what it's going to taste like. I guess I'll report back and let you know if it's disgusting or not. Or my fiance will. He'll be like,
and he likes to cook too.
Oh, he loves to cook. Okay. One of the first things that I think we were like 6 months in, and this was pandemic, and I can't remember if it was a birthday or an anniversary, but he made cheesecake from scratch, and he was like so excited about it.
Yeah.
like the crust and everything. He was just like so excited. And I remember just being like, wow, like I think I like this guy just because he's so excited.
Do you mind me asking
about this cheesecake?
How long you've been together?
5 years.
And you're getting married soon.
Yeah. I'm getting married at the end of next month.
Okay.
And
somewhere in 2025.
Yeah, somewhere in 2025. And it's so funny. One of our friends RSVP'd, and we have dietary restrictions. And, where it says, like, do you have allergies or anything? They go, no restrictions. The food just better be good. And it's really funny because I do feel like a lot of people know that both of us are really into food and are really strong foodies. We are doing a destination wedding, so we haven't even had an opportunity to taste the food. Okay. Which is a little stressful because I'm just like, we're going to be held accountable for
this good food, right?
For food we haven't tasted. But we did our research when we were choosing, so I think we'll be okay.
You'll be fine.
I think we'll be okay.
It'll be a great day.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Congratulations ahead of time.
Oh, thank you so much.
But I will tell you, that food tasting is one of the best parts of the whole wedding experience.
I'm so that's like, we did a destination wedding for all of the obvious reasons, of just like having time of the guest list is always the hardest part. And that's usually kind of like an easier way, I guess, to quote unquote trim the fat. But yeah, I think that's definitely what I'm missing out on is to be able to do like the tastings. Yeah. I will say this might be controversial. We're not having a wedding cake. We both despise wedding cake.
Okay.
And I think I brought this up and someone was like, oh, you just haven't had good wedding cake. So by all means, I hope I don't get like 15 cakes sent. To my well, you would have to have my address, but DM me, I guess, on Instagram if you would like to convince us that we just haven't had a good wedding cake.
When you're over,
we typically just like rich desserts, like
what are you gonna do?
And so we actually asked them to give us an additional dessert, and I think we're gonna go with Oreo mini cheesecake. Because, oh my god, sounds delicious.
Will there be any cookie table set up?
No.
Well, you're not having it in Pittsburgh.
We're not having it in Pittsburgh.
We might let that slide.
It would kind of be hard to ship.
It would.
A cookie table.
Yeah. You can come, and you need to bring 24 cookies.
Yeah, I think so. We're not doing a cookie table. All right. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did have a final question then. So you said you grew up in Maryland. How long have you been in Pittsburgh?
About 10 years, believe it or not.
So you're here. Yeah. And your fiance, where was he from?
Pennsyltucky is what he likes to call it.
I have heard this before.
Yeah. So just like middle PA is probably the best way to describe for sure.
Well, I'm glad you guys met, bonded over food.
Yeah.
And I love what you're doing right now.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is Rebecca Hansborough of the 412, and you are listening to the Pittsburgh Dish.
Since our recording, Rebecca and her husband tied the knot on that destination wedding. We're wishing them all the best. Now let's check in and learn a little bit more about our other friend, Autumn Pawelec. Thank you so much for coming over and for being on the show.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Would you introduce yourself to our listeners and what you have going on in terms of the food world?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Autumn Pawelec. I've been doing content creation specifically in the food world for about, I'd say a little over a year now. And I love to showcase anything and everything Pittsburgh related. Doesn't matter the food category. I love it all. I love to, go to more fine dining experiences in Pittsburgh, but I also like to support, local mom and pop shops. So that's what I've been doing. I have a few exciting collaborations coming up with a few things. So just super excited and happy to be here.
Now, Autumn, when I first noticed your feed, you're not really just doing food.
No.
you're into modeling and lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the main part.
It's cool.
It's a little different than some of the other guests we've had on.
Yeah.
When did you start that whole modeling career?
So, modeling, I've been modeling since 2017, 2018.
Okay.
I was actually scouted in my hometown bar.
And can I ask where that is?
Yeah, Menneson, PA.
Oh, in Menneson.
Yeah.
That's where you grew up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Greyhound, 15062. So yeah, I was actually scouted in my hometown bar, and it was a pretty crazy experience. I had this guy just approach me, and he was like, "Hey, like, I love your look, blah, blah, blah. Like, what are your measurements?" And I'm thinking, this is a really odd thing to say to somebody,
creepy.
especially at 1 o'clock in the morning in a bar. So I was like, a little leery, but as I got to know him, I was like, okay, you're a talent scout for a, agency in New York. So I was like, all right, let's, continue the conversation. Long story short, he flew me out to New York. I did a couple test shoots. And then I got signed with Doherty agency here in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
And I've been modeling since 2017, 2018. And then I also am signed by JL Model Management up in New York City and Miami.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been really cool. I do that, and I post all my modeling adventures. I got to shoot for a really awesome client here in Pittsburgh, Kia Tomlin.
Oh, yes.
So that was super cool.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorite Pittsburgh shoots to date.
If we need to remind, this is Mike Tomlin's wife.
Yes.
And she has a fashion line.
Yes, yes. And she has a awesome collaboration right now with the NFL. So she's not just making like Pittsburgh Steeler gear. She does so many other teams. I can't remember the exact number of teams, but I mean, if you are subscribed to her email list, you'll see me in Atlanta Falcons gear, Oakland Raiders gear. I will say modeling it was a little strange because I felt like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have enemies on me. No, not really enemies, but you know what I mean.
Not your hometown team.
Yeah. So it was a little weird, but super cool. So, I work with her pretty consistently, and I do lifestyle things too. Like I'm super into jewelry. As you can tell, I love my gold.
She's showing me today, and she's just a casual afternoon. She's decked out with
I love my gold.
10 rings and
I love my
bracelets
gold
on each side.
And then I'm super into skincare and things like that because I love to be preventative when it comes to aging, taking care of myself.
Yeah.
We only have one body, so I try to do as best as I can to, upkeep self-care.
Self-care is important.
Yeah. Self-care, physically and mentally too.
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty much it, I think, in a nutshell. Yeah.
Well, and what I've noticed getting to know you is that you've been doing maybe a little bit more on your feed with food and with restaurants.
Yes.
And we have just so happened to, I think we've sat beside each other at dinner 3 times now. And I know this just because I was having dinner with the two of you, but you're engaged right now. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we got engaged in October, early October.
This is your fiance, Kevin.
Yes.
You guys have been together a while.
We've been together for a while. It will be 7 years in March. So we've been together for a while. He actually popped the question at the rib room.
At the rib room.
At the rib room. So the rib room is literally right behind meat and potatoes. It's very intimate, very quiet. It's a very tiny little joint back there. Also super good. So my friend, Devin Colbank, everybody knows him as DC. He does all of the marketing for Richard DeChance's restaurant group.
Okay.
We love meat and potatoes. Kevin and I have been going there for, oh my gosh, since we started dating for years. And Devin calls me and he's like, hey, I need you to model a few things for meat and potatoes, kind of dress nice, maybe a little black dress. We kind of want to, maybe have a little bit more upscale vibe to the shoot. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is just normal,
It's a setup.
It was a setup. So I'm there, I'm posing with, certain drinks, certain food. And then he's like, okay, we're going to shoot some content back in the rib room. So I'm back there and I'm sitting there with a red glass of wine. And I'm like, okay, where's Devin at? I don't see him. And then all of a sudden Kevin comes out and, the lights are there and Dev's taking pictures of us. And he asked me to marry him literally right there in the middle of the rib room.
I love that. Go, Kevin.
It was really,
good.
it was cute. It meant a lot to me because it was so personal. Because that was like, that's a spot that we've been going
That's
to
your
since
spot,
we've been.
yeah.
It was super cute.
Oh.
Mhm.
And we do love ourselves some meat and potatoes as well.
Oh yeah. Literally one of the best dirty martinis in the city. Shout out to Riley. He's the bar manager there, and it's so good. The blue cheese, or it's not like a blue cheese. It's like a pimento. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Pimento. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, stuffed into the olives. Oh, so good.
I do think Raquel Holiday said the same thing.
Yeah, her and I text about meat and potatoes all the time, especially the dirty martinis. She's like, you have turned me into a dirty martini connoisseur. And I'm like, yes.
Well, I love that entire story.
It
And
was super cute.
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I would say I didn't peg you for a foodie.
Yeah.
But now I think I would.
Yeah. No, people definitely are like, oh, when I first started following you, I didn't think you kind of fit into the foodie category. But the more that I get to talk to you and the more that I get to know you, you're like, like you kind of are a foodie. How it all started was my fiance, Kevin, and I, every other Saturday, we would do date night. So we would go and pick different restaurants, different spots in the city. And he was like, you take all these pictures and these videos. Why not start posting about it? And I was like, that's a really cool idea.
Yes.
So at first it just started with simple like carousel pictures on Instagram. Then I was like, all right, let me up my game and start doing reels. So that's been super fun. I love the creative side of like that whole editing process.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been super fun.
You can come do some of my editing.
I love to edit. Hey,
okay.
Send it my way.
Autumn, I'm just going to say one more thing that I love about this combination, that you're dispelling the myth that a model doesn't eat or eat properly or take care of themselves.
Yeah, it's all about balance.
Right.
Like, I am pretty strict during the week with what I eat. I go to the gym 3-4 times a week. It's all about balance. But I'm not like, if I want to order a pizza, I'm going to eat a pizza. If I want a dish of pasta, I'm going to eat the pasta. In the modeling world, it's really weird right now with what we got going on. But the stigma is, oh, models don't eat. They can't eat carbs, this and that. Yes, you can.
Right.
It's just all in moderation. It's all in moderation. And I don't deprive myself, especially when it comes to like creme brulee, which is one of my favorite desserts. Like
too.
if I have room at the end of dinner for creme brulee for a dessert, I'm going to get the dessert.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just all in moderation, you know? Yeah.
It's so much healthier.
Yes.
Your approach. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right. I'm going to move us on to some business.
Okay.
You came over to give us some restaurant recommendations today. I'm so excited to have you. I do want to clarify my own. I keep saying Pawelec. How do you pronounce your last name?
Pawelec. So the W is supposed to sound like a V. It's Polish.
Oh, got you.
Way back in the day when, I want to say like great grandparents came over, on the boat. It was originally spelled with a V,
yes.
And then it was changed to a W again. I don't know all the logistics about what happened back then, but it's Pawelec. It's Polish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
In German, the W is pronounced a V as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Mentioning that you grew up in this Polish family, what was food like growing up?
Oh my gosh. So I am split Italian and Polish. Polish is on my dad's side.
Yeah.
Italian's on my mom's side. So for Christmas and Easter, I got the best of both worlds.
I bet.
Oh my gosh. Like, especially for Christmas, you would still get the pierogis, the halupki, the halushki, but then you would also get, the pasta, the fish on Christmas Eve for, the 7 fishes. Yeah, it was incredible.
Did you do much cooking, or did people just cook for you?
Back when I was younger, no, I didn't do really much of the cooking. I mean, I would help my mom and my grandma in the kitchen with little things, but they mainly did all the cooking. But as I'm getting older, I've noticed I've been going back home more to be like, hey, Mom, can you teach me how to do your wedding soup?
Love it.
Yeah. So I definitely had the best of both worlds. I would be in a food coma. It was always when we would have Christmas Eve at my Grams, we'd go to church, then we'd go to, back to my Grams for dinner. And then afterwards, I was so full. I remember just passing out, no blanket, no pillow, in the middle of her living room, pass out for an hour, wake back up, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm hungry again.
This sounds like some of our family holidays.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
You and I will have to go to Polska, Alaska. Do you
Oh
know?
my
Have you been
gosh.
yet?
No, but I've been following her on
Yes.
Instagram since the jump. And I'm so excited to see a true Polish spot in the Berg.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy that we haven't had anything like that
Anything
before.
new, yeah.
Anything new like that before. But I am so excited. I got to go check her out.
I know. Olive is great. I can't wait to have her on the show.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Autumn, if people do want to find and follow you on Instagram, what is your handle?
Yeah, it's my first and last name, Autumn Pawelec, and I will spell it out, AUTUMN, N as in Nancy, P as in paw, AWELEC as in cat. So Autumn Pawelec on Instagram. Yeah.
Thanks, Autumn. And thanks for being on the Pittsburgh Dish.
Thank you for having me.
We're looking forward to hearing more from both Rebecca and Autumn on upcoming episodes. And up next, since Autumn got us thinking a little bit more about Polish food, that reminded me of a conversation we had recently with Chef Jonathan Homer. Hey, everybody, we're joined today with Chef Jonathan Homer. John, last time you were here, we talked about your amazing career throughout the culinary industry, but something you brought up and I wanted to know a little bit more about was your grandma's pierogies.
So Grandma Sophie, she every Christmas, every Easter, every holiday, she was, making thousands of pierogies, handing out these big Ziploc bags.
Oh.
She had a chest freezer in her garage to the left of her Cadillac that that you just knew there was a pumpkin roll, nut roll, or pierogies in that freezer. But yeah, Grandma's pierogies, man, that's something that you just never leaves your mind.
I want to raid that chest freezer in her garage.
I know, right?
So tell me a little bit more about her pierogi. What was the filling?
It was traditional. It was potato and cheese, know, but then boiling them and then just always sautéed onions. And just a traditional Polish, the simplest of dishes.
Tons of butter?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Of course,
yes. Yeah.
Do you have a recipe you could share with us?
Oh, of course, yes.
I would love to get Grandma's recipe for these pierogies.
That's the only way to do it is through Grandma Sophie's recipe.
I think that you had mentioned once that you had started making pierogies in your infant hands. Or something.
Exactly.
Pierogi in one hand, meatball in another.
There's a picture of me and a picture of my dad about the same age as 3-4-year-olds making pierogies with our grandmas. So
I couldn't think of a better picture.
Yeah.
Chef John Homer, thanks so much for the recipe for Grandma's pierogies, and thanks for being on the Pittsburgh Dish.
Of course, anytime.
Jonathan Homer is the executive chef at Pizziolo Primo in Market Square. You can find his grandma's pierogi recipe on the recipe blog of our website. Do you have a recipe? Share it with us. Just visit our website at www.pittsburghdish.com and look for our Share a Recipe form. If you enjoyed the show, consider buying us a coffee for this episode or supporting the show monthly. You can find links to those options at the bottom of our show description. And if you want to follow my own food adventures, you can find me on social media at Doug Cooking. That's our show for this week. Thanks again to all of our guests and contributors, and to Kevin Selecki of Carnegie Accordion Company for providing the music to our show. We'll be back again next week with another fresh episode. Stay tuned.